conversation with some folks from the Ministry of Public Utilities speaking about LED bulb distribution. So chatting with us this morning via Zoom is Annabelle Brasnell, the Corporate Communications Manager, as well as Gail Dulal, the Electricity Sector Specialist at the Ministry of Public Utilities. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning, Rokas and Carrie.
Good morning.
Good morning, Rokas and Carrie, and good morning to all your viewing, all the viewing public of Trinidad and Tobago and wherever in the rest of the world. Good morning.
All right, so let's...
Carrie, I must say that was a really great segue into LED lights.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I try my best.
Good
All
job.
right. So let's start, ladies, with why do we want the country to go LED?
So TNTech is acting as the facilitator for the Ministry of Public Utilities in an effort to get LED bulbs out to 400,000 households to improve energy efficiency and energy conservation in the country. But really, this project, as I said, is a project of the Ministry of Public Utilities. So Gail would be able to give you a full background as to why the ministry has asked TNTech to do this on their behalf.
Gail?
Okay, so again, good morning, everybody. Right, so this, as you know, Trinidad and Tobago, well, I don't know if actually, who knows, but Trinidad and Tobago is a signatory to the Paris Agreement. And the Paris Agreement has a bunch of 192 countries are signatory to this agreement. And this agreement came together to reduce carbon emissions all across the globe. So in Trinidad and Tobago, we want to do our part. In fact, we must do our part because Trinidad and Tobago is the second most energy intensive country in the world. That means we use, yes, our per capita usage of energy is the second most in the world, only behind the United Arab Emirates.
Wow.
And that is not a good look for us.
No.
Now, I can defend us a little bit in that aspect and say, you know, they sort of didn't compare us well, apples for apples, because we are a small island developing country, yet we are an industrial giant in the Caribbean. So actually, half of all our produced electricity goes to our industrial sector, and the residential community uses 34%. However, the light bulb initiative was one that came together from when the government appointed a cabinet committee to look at the reduction of energy usage in the country, and in keeping with the government's commitment to the Paris Agreement. So in that aspect, you know, we pulled a committee together and developed a policy and action plan. And one of the low-hanging fruits of the policy and action plan was the light bulb initiative. Because when we did the mathematics related to the light bulb initiative, let's do some simple maths here. If you compare an incandescent bulb, 100 watts, right, you will get the same effect in terms of lighting from a 9-watt LED bulb.
Okay.
When you do the maths, and we give people we given out to households and account holders 4 LED bulbs. So when you do the math, that equates to 541 kilowatt hours saved per year. And when you multiply that by 400,000 in the island, that is a massive reduction of our energy consumption. And it puts extra dollars in the pockets of account holders, households all across the country. It's not a job, it's not food, it's not a house, but it will add a little plate of food on your table.
It's a bit of savings.
It's a bit of savings,
yeah.
But the point is we want to jumpstart the culture of energy consciousness and energy awareness in the country.
On that topic, Gail, I want to ask, I mean, I haven't seen the document that is driving this initiative. However, I wanted to ask about the possibility of using, I mean, we've been all experiencing this heat wave and the power of the sun for the past few months. How possible would it be for us to change to solar powered instead of using so much electricity to also help with our consumption rate?
Okay, so when you're talking about solar, you're talking about solar generation.
Yeah.
So, and solar generation will fall in the category of electricity generation.
Okay.
Now, when you think about electricity generation, electricity is not a commodity you can go out and buy and store at home and use. Electricity is something that needs a great deal of planning. So the country has committed to 10% renewable energy power generation by 2021. And in that regard, we are currently, actually, I am representing the Ministry of Public Utilities as one of the members of a steering committee that is guiding our big solar initiative, and that was awarded by the Prime Minister in February of this year to the consortium of Lightsource, BP, Shell, and BP. And we are building 2 solar plants. In total, it will be 112.22 megawatts AC of power that is going to be added to our grid. In addition to that, the ministry is quietly working to get the legislation and the licensings ready to do commercial and home generation.
Oh,
so
nice.
all those things are in train for the country. So yes, we are going RE, but I want to caution one thing about going RE. It's not just simple going RE, because the power that comes from renewable sources is not reliable. It is very, very intermittent, and it is very costly to make that power stable. Appliances that use electricity, they don't like up and down unstable
Current.
electricity. They
Yeah.
want stability. So when we are putting unstable power onto our grid, we have to carefully and mathematically do the balancing. It's called grid balancing and so on. And we have to think about technical things like ramping up and all those things for the grid. So we are currently, the ministry is currently leading several initiatives in that regard, and we are getting there, but we want to do it carefully. We are already late in comparison to other countries around the world. We have available electricity on our grid. So whilst there is no rush in terms of putting more electricity on the grid, the country has committed to the Paris Agreement for the 10% by 2021. So we are trying to get there, and we are on the way.
If I can get the opportunity to just add to what Gail said in terms of adding the RE to the grid,
Yeah.
and just the nature of renewable resources, they are not consistent. TNTech takes reliability and stability of the grid as an important factor in how we do business and how we deliver our service to customers. So despite that fact that Gail just mentioned, I just want to remind that any introduction of RE would be alongside the traditional generation using natural gas,
Right.
which is more stable. And so there should be no concerns that when we introduce solar power generation, that we will have problems on the grid. As she mentioned, it's you have to balance. And
Yeah.
so the engineers will work to ensure that we are using the renewable resources and we're using the solar generation, but that we will always have the traditional generation in the background to kick in once we need it.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Well, Annabelle, as I have you, can you just walk us through the process of getting the LED bulbs, the 4 that are supposed to be assigned to each household?
Okay, so if I can just give some information, we started distribution of the bulbs on the 22nd of September. That's the day after the launch. As at yesterday, we had distributed just about 27,500 packages of bulbs to customers.
Okay.
We have a total of 400,000 customers that would receive bulbs. I want to also take the opportunity to say to customers that we have sufficient bulbs
Yes.
for everybody, and to remind customers that they come to collect bulbs when they would normally come to pay their bills.
Okay.
We deliberately tagged the distribution of the bulbs to bill payment in order that we can manage the crowd during this pandemic situation. And our bills run on a cycle. And so if everybody comes when you would normally pay your bill, then we would be able to give out the bulbs to everybody in a safe manner. In terms of distribution, persons who are account holders or who normally pay their bills in a service center, if you're an account holder, you go to the service center, you pay your bill as normal, and you receive your bulb. if you pay a bill in a service center on behalf of an account holder, for whatever reason, you pay the bill as well, but you must come with either an authorization letter and a copy of that person's ID, or if you don't have any of those two, you walk with a recent bill, not a copy of a recent bill, an original recent bill for that account, and you would be able to receive on behalf of the person you're paying for. Because we do have a high number of persons who pay bills on behalf of others. For persons who pay bills outside of service centers, those are persons who pay at their bank, who pay online, who pay at ShorePay or Bill Express. Those persons would be required to make an appointment online. So you pay your bill using your normal process, and then you go onto our website, www.ttec.co.tt. You make an appointment and you come in when your appointment is scheduled, and you would receive your bill seamlessly. So as I said, all of this is being done to ensure that we manage the crowds and keep people safe during this time.
All right, well, it sounds fantastic. I want to thank both of you for joining us this morning and for sharing this information, and we look forward. Hopefully everything continues to run smoothly, and we can get our consumption down a great deal. So thank you very much, Annabelle Brasnell, the Corporate Communications Manager, and Gail Dula, Electricity Sector Specialist at the Ministry of Public Utilities. Thank you guys so much for joining us this morning. We're talking LED bulbs and LED bulb distribution, and we'll be right back right here on the Now Morning Show with so much more. Stay tuned.